Welcome back. I'm reading chapter 35 of my memoir entitled Rebirth. So if you just stumbled upon this video now, I encourage you to go back to the top. There's a playlist for this so that you can listen in on the chapters in sequence. Otherwise, you won't really know what's going on. I'm reading, we're getting at the very end now. Make sure you click that like button. Make sure you subscribe so that this reaches the people who are meant to hear the story. I'm so glad that you're here. And I'm reading chapter 35, entitled Visiting Launa. Lost and drowning under a heaviness I couldn't shake, I packed a backpack, zipped up my coat, and stepped out the door. I remembered my friend Launa's words after Mauro and I got married. If you ever feel like running away, call me first. But I didn't call. I just started walking. When relationships became too difficult or painful, my instinct was to leave and disappear. It always seemed easier than drowning in someone else's denial, easier than staying and allowing disrespect to become normalized. As I walked, images flashed in my mind from a visit with my half-brother many years earlier. The drugs, the way our cousin was disrespected late at night so someone could score, and the women pretending not to notice the substance being passed around in the kitchen as the men laughed about their ability to deceive their wives. It was not the way I chose to live. I left, taking my chance with the cold winter night. I didn't even know where we were, and I didn't have my car. My brother drove. I just chose a direction and walked until I found a gas station. I love to walk. It helped me sort my thoughts. At the end of the street, I waited for the bus. The temperature was dropping, but Evelyn was warm, cuddled in a baby wrap and tucked inside my winter coat. I traveled across the city from bus to subway to streetcar and finally walked the last few blocks to Launa's house. There was no answer when I knocked. I sank into one of the wooden Adirondack chairs on her porch. It was cold, but Evelyn was still fast asleep against my chest. I pulled my coat tighter around us both and rested. I must have dozed off. When I opened my eyes, the sky had shifted to a soft indigo dusk. I checked my watch. It was almost 6 o'clock, and there was still no sign of Launa. I regretted leaving without seeing her, but I had been out most of the day, and I hadn't brought any supplies. The air, the stillness, and the nap had helped. I felt clearer, steadier, and ready to go home. I walked back to the end of her street and boarded the streetcar. From a seat in the back, I leaned against the window and watched the city go by, the shops, the people, the blur of early evening lights. Then I saw Launa. She had just stepped out of a shop, hand in hand with her two daughters. My heart raced and I sat up. I pressed the stop request button and rushed to the doors. The streetcar slowed down with a hiss, then lurched to a stop. I stepped onto the sidewalk and felt the cold air in my face. I turned on in the direction I'd seen them walking, eyes scanning the crowd, but they were gone. The sun was sinking fast, shadows stretching long across the pavement. I wondered if I had made a mistake getting off. Then I spotted her inside a small, locally owned grocery store. Warm lighting spilling through the windows like a theater. Crates and burlap-lined tables showcased fruits and vegetables in neat rows. The place looked like a curated, old-fashioned market. I walked inside. It felt surreal, almost staged. I found her near the produce, deep in thought, and greeted her with as much enthusiasm as I could muster. "Hi, Lana." Her head tilted back, her eyes widened as if I'd caught her off guard. She didn't smile, but seemed to freeze, and I couldn't tell if it was surprise or discomfort. We hadn't spoken in months. Had she even seen my emails? She was an atheist and didn't tolerate spiritual talk well, so she might not have appreciated what I'd shared. When I quit my job, the one Lana and I worked at together, I offered to pick up her daughters from school on Mondays and stay with them until she got home. Before they'd been stuck in after-hour daycare waiting for Lana. I thought it would be a nice way to help and stay connected. One evening, over dinner, her youngest mentioned she wanted to learn to ride her bike. She was practically begging Lana, desperate not to be the last kid on the block. still using training wheels. When Launa didn't answer, I smiled and said gently, "You could pray about it." Without hesitation, her daughter closed her eyes, pressed her hands together, and raised them to her lips. I smiled, then turned to Launa, surprised by her posture change. Her eyes were narrowed, her lips tight. "And who exactly are you praying to?" she asked her daughter, her tone sharp but even. Her daughter opened her eyes, lowered her hands, and said, "No one." "That's right," Launa said, now staring deeply at me. "No one." I tried to recover. "Oh, I didn't necessarily mean it that way. It could be wishing or hoping, sending good vibes into the universe for a wish to be granted." Lana shook her head. I sighed and lowered my eyes. The silence hung awkwardly in the air. "But seriously, Mom, can you please teach me this week when no one is around? I don't want the other kids to know I can't do it yet," her daughter said, breaking the tension. Lana agreed. Now standing beside her again in this little shop, I felt like I was misstepping all over again, but I kept my tone upbeat, not wanting to add weight or bring her my problems. She hadn't met Evelyn yet, nor did she ask to see her, but I unzipped my coat anyway to reveal her sleeping. Her daughters squealed with excitement at the sight of a tiny baby and pleaded with me to stay. I smiled, apologized, and told them I had to go. Every part of me wanted to stay. I craved the warmth of familiar faces, the comfort of being near people I loved. I wasn't ready to step back out into the cold night, not yet. But something in the air between Lana and me felt off, strained, like I was out of place in her carefully ordered world, an interruption in her day. I would have stayed had she asked me to. I tagged along, my attempt to linger just a little longer. We walked towards her house, me trying to sound cheerful, matching her daughter's joy, pretending everything was all right. At the steps, I forced a smile, said goodbye, then turned and walked alone towards the streetcar. With every step, the darkness deepened. A hollow ache opened in my chest. I'd come seeking comfort and refuge, but instead I walked away feeling more alone than before. And that is the end of chapter 35 of my memoir, Rebirth. There's one more chapter and then the epilogue. Thank you so much for being here. Make sure you click that like button so that it reaches the people who are meant to hear it. Leave comments, anything, whatever's on your mind. I just am happy to hear from you and know that you are here. And if you want me to answer any questions, ask a question. I'll be doing a Q&A after this to answer all the questions that are sent to me. Thanks again for being here. See you in the next chapter.